Hello, hello, and a glorious ONPASSIVE day to you. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. I know that I am, and I am here with a special guest today, Dr. Derrick. I'm sure a lot of folks watching this know who he is. Dr. Derrick, would you take a minute and just tell us a little bit about who you are?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. Peace, blessings, and enough love to you, King Jeffrey. I really appreciate you inviting me here on your interview. I thank you very much. I am Dr. Derrick. My name is Derrick Clark. I, spent some time in the military, 12 years, spent some time in the fire service also, 6 years, and I love uniform. I was always in uniform from a little boy back there in Scout and Cub and Cadet and all of those lovely things. But what it taught me is discipline and details. Very important, discipline and details. And so from age of 7, I was already interested in technology. I love technology. I love how things work and see how things work. And so I went all the way into my tertiary education with technology, specializing in audio and visual. Have a few degrees there, and also did some other things when it come on to theology. And when it comes on to a lot of other, I have a first year certificate, so I can teach it also. I did also a medical missionary course, so I love when it comes on to your health and those conditions. And so I live my life as it is pleasing to God, because God really is my guide and my direction. Thank you.
Wow. I thank you so very, very much for that. And I certainly appreciate everything that you just let me know because when you talk about uniform, discipline, details, that speaks to me of structure. And I know a little bit about that. I've worn uniforms myself. I can appreciate that. And I appreciate especially that explains the structure in your platforms. Now you've got a couple of different platforms. You've got Deep Dive, which is globally changing lives. Deep Dive, globally changing lives, and that originates out of Mr. Mufara's vision. And you've got a second one called Restore Jamaica. And during this, when you can fit some descriptions of those in as we get going, I would certainly appreciate hearing about those and letting our folks in the audience know. But for right now, if we can kind of look at your life and if you could tell us a little about the things or the people that helped to shape your life, what would you be able to tell us?
Okay. Thank you very much, King Jeffrey. One of the main persons, well, I have a few, of course, but a couple of the persons that actually changed and shaped my life is actually my grandparents and my mother, because my father died at a very, very young age. He was 47 when he died. I already had 3 children, my older brother, myself, and my younger sister. But my grandparents spent a lot of time with my grandparents. And my grandparents celebrated 63 years of blissful marriage. And when I say blissful marriage, I really mean blissful marriage. Never heard them quarrel, never see them quarrel. And they spend a lot of time together because my grandfather worked from home, actually. Didn't really know that that was what he was doing. But yes, he had his own little business. And so he was always at home. And I've never heard them have any friction and cursing each other. Actually celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary and did the whole shebang. They did the whole performing the ceremony and getting married all over again, and had a wonderful wedding reception at the Hotel Four Seasons. And oh my goodness, it was like, you ever see people celebrating 50th wedding anniversary and kissing like teenagers and young people. Oh my goodness, dancing on the dance floor, and oh my goodness, it really brings a lot of wonderful memories that marriage can work. Yes, we have in a lot of divorces now, but I mean, marriage can work. You have to work at it for it to work. A lot of people stop working at marriages, and so it brings about a disrepair in the whole situation. My mother always giving us good advice, never hit us. Our father was the beating one, but my mother never hit us, always giving us some strong, deep advice. And so we really loved our mother and our grandparents. And those are the two persons that really, really shaped my life to where it is now.
Wow. Wow. I appreciate that. I appreciate the insight that you've given us, talking about these people, your parents and grandparents in particular, experiencing death of those close to us is often very difficult, and it shapes us accordingly. And in our lives, we also have not only the people, but we have challenges and we have experiences that influence our outlook and our goals. Can you speak to me a little about some of the challenges that have kind of put you on this path that you're on?
Okay. Um, Challenges. Well, there are many, many challenges that I could, speak about. But I guess one of the main significant challenge that really shaped my life and took me off of uh, a pathway that was going into doom to a pathway that is life, and also life eternal, is a truck accident that happens in 1986 when I was actually in the military. 35 of us was on the truck, and actually 2 officials died. The rest was broken bones, broken this, broken that, broken all over the place. Fortunately for me, nothing was broken, but I was pronounced dead twice. And no, King Jeffrey, I didn't see any pretty light. I did not see any pearly gates. I did not see all of those things that other people claim that they see when they have near-death experience. No, I didn't experience all of those. I was just like out of it, was just like sleeping, didn't know anything until I was at the hospital, and people and gadgets all over me, and I was wondering what's happening. My entire face, I don't know if you watch this movie with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, Face Off.
Yep.
That was how my face was actually. Everything was rubbed off, all the epidermis, the dermis, and some places you actually seen, just white and bone, marrow, etc. So I came out of that with the only thing that with my mother, my dear mother, brought me was my Bible, the Word, and so I read the Word, from cover to cover, Genesis 1 to Revelation 22, and I believe that that is really what give a major overall, that as I face challenges in this world, I know who have already won the battle, who have already won the war between good and evil. Because listen, even though we don't want to acknowledge the fact there has to be a God, and most of us, most people don't want to acknowledge that fact, but that's okay. Because fortunately, because of love, God's love, He gave us the choice to choose
Amen.
whether we serve Him or we don't serve Him. And so that is love, because no one on the planet would ever want a man who would put a knife to their throat or a gun to their head and say, love me, you must love me. no, that wouldn't work. And so therefore we are awarded choice with the love of God, that even while we were disobedient, he still loves us, and he came and restored us so that we can live victorious. And that is what allow me to overcome my challenges, the victorious life that I have in Christ. Thank you.
Wow. What a testimony that is, man alive. I am so grateful that you have shared that with us. And I agree. Many challenges are met and overcome by a great many of us through spiritual pathways, which come to us as individuals. And I love that you mentioned choice, Dr. Derrick, in that we always have a choice. And man, when you got a clear mind about that, life is going to be good for you, or at least better than it would be otherwise, I think. Now, switching just a little bit, I want to get into a little bit of on passive speak, if you will. And you've got two platforms: the deep dive, globally changing lives, and you've also got Restore Jamaica. Now, with those in mind, if you could share with us a little about those, what are your hopes once on passive fully launches and we start earning like we're expecting to?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you very much, King Jeffrey. Well, most people know of deep dive, globally changing lives, and that is in keeping with our wonderful, loving CEO Ashmofari. That that as we and this is in keeping with the word, as we are blessed, because the only reason we are blessed is also to bless others. And so therefore the deep dive, globally changing lives, is more focused one on the mindset, because as our CEO Ashmafari says, that on passive is 20% of business, and 80%, oh my goodness, 80% of heart, 80% of integrity, 80% of love. And so even if the business side, which of course, we're going to have a few challenges, just like any other business, and maybe I'll say a little more on that in the future. But the business section of, no matter what happened to the business section of it, on passive still has 80% of heart, of integrity, and of love. And that is what from I heard. Never had any videos, never had any YouTube channels, never had nothing to go to back in 2019, February, when I started, just like before my birthday, the 23rd of February. I was born on the 25th. So just a little before my birthday, I heard of the company, and it just resonated with me, and I just jumped into it. Never asked any question, never asked nothing. It was just 100% from the get-go. And then when I met Ash Mafare, the CEO, and met other Passivians that is now my family. Oh my goodness, I just love the old, mesmerizing experience that I'm having with this company that I've never had before. The camaraderie, the love, the integrity that this company holds is dear to me. And so, just like Ash Mufar, our CEO, I believe that the only thing that we need to concentrate on now is our mindset. The business is already focused by Ashmafari to do what they need to do to get it up and running properly and to move into that direction. The next part is the mental. The physical, Ashmafari and the tech teams and all of those people is taking care of that. But the mental is what we need to take care of, which is the mindset. And so that is the focus. People like Queen Miriam, people like Dr. Trishai Ford, people like Queen Yvonne Finn, Queen Loretta Shadari, Queen, Jacqueline Warner, Pastor, Tony Coleman. So many persons have gotten on board and is now moving with mindset, because that should be our focus right now in ONPASSIVE. Now, my other platform, which a lot of people don't really know because it's really focused on Jamaica. Now, that focus, or that I should say, that webinar is really focused on what ONPASSIVE is going to be doing through Restore Jamaica, because yes, that is what we are going to be doing. We are going to be restoring Jamaica, because listen, we want to restore all humanity in the entire world, but it's people by people, country by country, or island by island, whatever way you want to look at it, etc., etc. And so therefore, every Wednesday, we have been meeting. We kind of stopped now because our meetings were on ONEC, and that is what we are to keep that meeting on ONEC. All right, so we kind of holding a little for the time being, but it is Restore Jamaica initiative. It's approximately 3 million people is on that island. And so what we are looking at is, if we could target, we are going to target at least a minimum 1 million people on the island. Now, if it's approximately 3 million, and if 1 million people on the island of Jamaica is having an income flow of at least $10,000 a month, oh my goodness, I believe that that's going to be a significant difference for our economy. Because, oh my goodness, the economy is maybe one of the worst economy on the entire planet, right? It's I think it's about $1 to 156 or 60 Jamaican dollars. So the economy is terrible, King Jeffrey. The economy is terrible. And so therefore, we believe that we ONPASSIVE, we believe that the Restore Jamaica initiative, which we are starting with schools. We have already sent out letters, physical letters by email to school, to the principal, and to the bursar, the principal or vice principal and the bursar, with our move to do a business expo. And that business expo will be targeting as many schools across the entire island, preferably high school, right across the island, focusing on what we are doing. And so before, we believe that we will quickly reach the target. And when we empower people, because that's what it is, empowering people, that is the heart of ONPASSIVE and Ashmafare's view. So when we empower people, then people being empowered will be able to make those decisions that is needed to uplift the humanity that is there in every country. So if every person in their country or from their country focus on their country, oh my goodness, in less than a few, everything will as according to Ashmafare's vision.
Wow. Wow. Absolutely. I love the fact that you're talking about that empowerment, because that runs through everything that ONPASSIVE stands for. And certainly we have gone through our school of hard knocks, as they say, of late, right? But we're on the other side of that, all of that, thankfully. And yeah, there's been a whole lot of us that have gotten on board, as you say, and our mindsets have actually been changed as a result. And I think one of those changes that we keep really kind of hammering away at or pinging at is being able to dream big, to dream again, if you will, with personal goals and aspirations, if you will, for futures for everybody. And that obviously includes those in Jamaica and beyond. And man, I applaud what you're doing there. So the next question all this leading into the next question is, Dr. Derrick, how do you plan to use the ONPASSIVE platform to achieve your goals for your vision?
Okay, wonderful. On passive platform. Well, first of all, we have to understand that the Restore Jamaica is going to be using a passive platform. As I said earlier, we are looking to target a minimum of 1 million persons on the island. And if we can get that done, that is a third of the island's population. Well, a little bit more than a third of the island's population. And so using that platform in every shape and form, okay. We're starting with Okonek, because that was and more likely it would be the first one out of the gate again, which is Okonek, the best and only 4K webinar platform with 10,000 right out of the gate. I remember when other companies start, they start with 50, they start with 11, they start with 10, they start with those type of figures, and then they work them way up. But on passive, right out of the gate, King Jeffrey, right out of the gate, they started with 10,000 participants on the platform when we started in September 2023. And so that is, unbelievable where achievements are concerned. I think ONPASSIVE should really go in the Guinness of World Record for so many things. But anyway, that's on a conversation later down the road. And so the plan when ONPASSIVE launches, and yes, ONPASSIVE launched already, but we're going through a few little wrinkles. I think our beloved CEO Ashmafare called it wrinkles. We are going through wrinkles. Just like many companies going through their little wrinkles. But officially, ONPASSIVE started in November 22. And went through our little wrinkles, just like every other company. Case in point, Walt and Roy Disney, Disney company, started in 1923. And after 76 years of issues till 1999, which was 76 years after they started, that the NRC start to see them way. If we look at in 1976, we had Apple, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. They started in 1976, but it's not until 1990, which is 14 years of issues that they had. 14, come on, 14 years of issues, right? So my hope is just like Ashmafare, to lift up humanity, to restore Jamaica, to bring back dignity to people, because right now it's 5%. 5% is just changing hands of the big money. And so, we want to kind of, bring that around to preferably 95% of the population. That is okay and can be done. I think that is really what Ashmafare is looking for, and that's why there's so much challenges, so many challenges that ONPASSIVE is going through, because persons don't want this kind of a delegation of funds to be distributed around to the common people. to the general populace. No. And so that is my hope. That is my my view, that we will really impact on humanity and restore our dignity on this planet.
Well, and you are not alone in that, sir. There's a great many of us that are sharing that same vision and that same hope. And yes, even I will say that ONPASSIVE is going to be a company that provides what I consider to be a very great decentralization of wealth, if you will. Now, all that set aside, if you had it to do again, or if you could go back in time, Dr. Derrick, and visit young Dr. Derrick, before you got on whatever path took you to where you are, what advice is it that you would give yourself back then if you could speak to yourself?
Oh, mercy. What a question, King Jeffrey. Well, seriously, I believe that I would put more action, because yes, we get information, all of us get information or require information from, especially our parents, or older persons when we were younger, etc., etc. But we were more rebellious. We were more living in ego. We were more satisfying our ego, instead of just listening to these persons that have already walked the path and stepped on some landmines, got exploded, got blown up, and all of that. And they are trying their very best guide us so that we don't step on all of those landmines. But of course, our ego as children, as young adults, etc., etc., we dismiss their counsel, dismiss their wisdom, dismiss their advice. So seriously, I would put more action on my mother's and my grandparents' advice, and older people who have walked path advice. And I would quickly try my very best to live in love, because this is really the key, King Jeffrey and others. The key is for us to live in love instead of ego, because it's really ego, it's the two paths. It's only two paths for us to travel. It's either we're traveling in ego or we are traveling in love. And you hurt people, because I hurt a lot of people when I was mostly living in ego, because that is what ego does. Ego only look at myself and how I am going to benefit. Doesn't matter how many people I step on to reach there. And so I look at 1 John 4 and verse 8. He that loveth not knoweth not God, because God is love. God didn't create love. God didn't make love. God is love. So God cannot hate. God cannot hate. And so I would quickly try to live in love as quickly as physically possible, knowing that my counsel to my younger self would have already have that view in mind, to give my younger self to live in love, so that we will love others more than we love ourselves.
Amen. And that would be a good message to have. Yes, sirree. I think if we all went down that journey early in life, we'd get somewhere. I was, I was laughing a little bit ago because I recognize, we get full of ourselves, man, and we operate through this narrow field of vision. And so our experiences are likewise narrow. And if we could open that up, as you say, to love, and more specifically to that unconditional love, which is God and which is the frequency of all that is. And man, if we could just do that, then most of our problems would go by the wayside before we ever experience them. So thank you for that. And thank you for your explanation of your vision and your goals and your outlooks and your perspectives. We appreciate that. The last thing here is a final word from you, Dr. Derrick. If you've got something that you'd like to tell the audience today, what would that be? The mic is yours.
Oh, mercy. What I like to tell others. Well, I think really and truly that when we look at everything that happens to us in life, we recognize that the best lifestyle and you know people don't look at lifestyle as something to um to to pursue. They look at money, so they just narrow down their lifestyle, because every person have beliefs. Every person. Some believe in it, some believe in this, some believe in all sorts of things. But every person belief system is different based on how they were grown, what their knowledge is, etc., etc. And that's why I have to go back to my mother. One of the things that my mother said when I was a little boy is, don't owe anyone anything, especially money. Well, she was really speaking specifically to money. Don't owe nobody any money, right? And so you learn. I learned to be satisfied, be content with the liquor that I have. So even though I might see someone there with, a better house, a better car, a better this, a better that, I love what I have. And so therefore, these are the things that live totally in me, that I must be contented with what I have, so that I have joy, instead of living in uncontentment where I'm all over the place. So my view, or my belief, is that we should live in love and in contentment. I thank you.
Wow. I like it. Thank you so very much, Doctor. I appreciate you being here today. And we're about ready to close this out. Again, thank you. You're appreciated, Dr. Derrick, for all you do. And everybody out there, I hope you have an awesome ONPASSIVE day. Thank you.